So it's all for play for still.
I think so. Do you want to bet against us?
Hello, Aston Villa fans, and welcome to For the Love of Paul McGrath podcast. And geez, it's been a 24 hours, I think, after that game last night. Things just come thick and fast this year, Paddy, and I'm absolutely loving it. I'll be honest. Well, it wasn't for the first 5 games of the season, but I'm absolutely loving it since. Paddy, you had a red eye this morning to get home from Birmingham because you were actually at the game last night. Before we talk about Brentford, want to tell us how the night was. What the night was like in the ground, obviously the haphazard first half and then, the massive comeback in the second half. Talk to us about that, Paddy.
It was a strange old atmosphere. And I think there was, look, it's easy for me to say, I think there was a bit of complacency there in the stands and on the pitch as the first half told us. I think we all expected to turn up and just rub their bellies and put them to bed early. And it never happened. And let's face it, they were poor. They're a poor side. There's not enough individuals in there to carry them into as you can see. But it's nearly harder not to make the next round of Europa League than it is to not make it. So it should have been a whole lot easier. Some silly mistakes, getting involved with stupid things, giving away that first goal, and it just put us on the back foot and made us look like the Austrian team, which is a poor quality of league. But look, the club themselves did their usual fanfare with the fireworks and proper European night and did everything they could to get the atmosphere up. There was nearly 38,000 people in there, considering it's effectively a dead rubber. But it was an enjoyable night. We got the result in the end. Absolutely delighted for the young boys coming on and playing their part in the winning goal. And the only bad point is I didn't see any video of Mrs. Jimmy Aloba celebrating the goal.
Yes, I'm sure there's one out there.
There is. And I hope they had a great night because that's an amazing achievement for the young man. And he celebrated right in front of me and I was just buzzing for him. Absolutely brilliant.
Yeah, look, as I said in my podcast last night, there's a lot of players in that Salzburg team that will go on to better teams, playing better leagues for sure. They're like the average age of that team is 20 years of age last night. So they put it up to Villa and then the experience that Villa had paid off and Villa got that win. And I think one of the big things, Paddy, from that game was, it's not ideal to see the only, I won't say the only striker because Tammy Abraham is there as well, but the only striker that's actually played for your club this season that's currently at the club hobble off down the tunnel before half time and you're going, oh, shite, this is something we certainly don't need. But it turns out he's okay, which is good. It turns out he's okay.
Well, I had a suspicion what you say hobble. It was a brisk walk he took down the touchline and down the tunnel. It didn't look like there was anything wrong. It looked like a precaution. Get him in. He was obviously worked on in the dressing room. He was back out on the bench in the second half. He was celebrating at the end of the game, and I had a feeling everything was going to be okay. Does it mean he starts on Sunday? Possibly. But if there's any bit of a niggle, surely you'd have to think that he can throw Tammy in there. Tammy will absolutely know all his game inside out and will be well able to play the role that he's played in. So it will be interesting to see what happens.
I think as well there's probably an element of surprise in playing Tammy Abraham against this Brentford team. Well, not so much anymore. Not so much anymore now that there's like will Watkins play, won't he play? Tammy Abraham, look, Brentford are I'm not going to shy away from the fact that I think I might be on record somewhere as saying that Brentford would be lucky to get over 18 points this season, and that the Keith Andrews would be gone by Christmas. And I'm wholly 1,000,000% wrong on that, obviously.
Yeah,
They've
well,
been the
we
surprise.
we were both
I think
really wrong on
everybody
that
has.
because
There's
I
no
backed
pundit
them.
that was saying that he was going to have them in 8th place, 3 points off Liverpool.
Yeah,
You know,
every time I log into my betting app, and please bet responsibly, it reminds me that I have Brentford back to be relegated this season. I also, which was beaten, was I had Keith Andrews to be the first manager sacked in the Premier League this season, and that didn't happen either. And look, you have to admit when you were wrong. We got it badly wrong, and luckily for him, he's absolutely flying. Can they sustain that into two seasons? I've no idea, but enjoy what he has at the moment.
yeah, it's such a topsy turvy league, and the way the league is so concertinaed at the moment, they can make hay very easily in this league. But we have to stop them at the weekend when they come to Villa Park for sure. Because what I was getting at there with regards to Tammy Abraham is he's going to be going up against Nathan Collins. He's potentially going to be going up against. Well, actually, I think Christoph Ayer is out. You know, that type of centre half, and I think he's going to be well able for and well capable of that. And I think it's probably a better fit for that in the early stages of the game. We know what they're going to bring. They're going to bring massive amounts of effort, massive high press. You know, like what's his name? Is it Udrangor, Ottawara, or whoever? I can never remember who he is. I always get two player. This guy mixed up with somebody else that isn't even playing the game anymore, and I can never remember how to say his surname. But the guy who got who made his debut against us, I think it was in the first game. I actually watched that game with above in Dublin with Ian Taylor and a lot of the guys in the woolshed, and I was expecting us to win that game handsomely, and we did nothing of the sort. And it was very dejected coming away from that game. But obviously, Igor Thiago is scoring goals for them. I think he's got 13 goals so far this season, and or 16 goals maybe it would be, and then 3 penalties. So yeah, it brings him to about 13, I think it is. But anyway, he's somebody that's scoring goals for him this season, and somebody that we need to be mindful of. But I'm expecting and accepting nothing less than 3 points at the weekend, even with our injury woes, because you know it's if we're Premier League contenders, like people are telling us that we are, well then we need to go and win this game. But if we're Champions League contenders, like I firmly believe we are, and we will be perennially while Unai Emery is here, this is another game we need to go and win. At home, we need to win this game. So I certainly think that playing Tammy Abraham up front could possibly be that kind of joker in the pack that maybe Brentford aren't really expecting.
Well, they probably will be semi-expecting it, given
they will.
What Ollie picked up. But yeah, you're right. You got to expect us to go and win the game, given where we are in the league, how we've imposed our game on teams like Brentford, and I have to say it's been refreshing this season. There hasn't been too many games where we're playing against a blanket defense, so there has been space and with a little bit of patience, we've been able to play through the lines. They will be tough, I would imagine. That kind of middle box that protect the red zone as such, with Collins, Ayer, Yarmulke, and Janelt, will be difficult to break down. They are very good in defence, so we'll wait and see what happens Sunday. But I am expecting us, albeit we're not winning games handsomely at all, and I'm fine with that. So any type of win, no matter how it comes, I really don't care about that. One win litigates all your goal difference. So I'm not concerned about the goal difference at all once we keep winning.
Absolutely. Another man that probably will get minutes, maybe even start the game at the weekend, is Dougie Luiz, Paddy. What's your take there? Do you think he's going to be thrown in from the off? I like Bogard coming back from right back into midfield yesterday was a plus point for Aston Villa. Onana is obviously playing really well recently. Might get on to Onana in a minute, and he's what I will 100% say is taken out of context and mistranslated interview that he had with some Belgian business magazine during the week. But what do you think there? Do you think he throws Douglas Luiz in there? Does that knock the confidence of somebody like Lamar Bogard? If he does, just throw him in there.
I honestly don't expect them to be thrown in there. I'm expecting Bogard and Onana in that central defensive partnership. It's the future. We need to bring Bogard up to the big boys table now and keep him involved. He's well able to play. He's a decent, very comfortable footballer. A little bit of work to do. Obviously, it's still a little bit rough around the edges, but we've got to be confident that these two guys can do that job in there for us.
I absolutely I'm agnostic as to who starts in that midfield position at the moment, because if we've got Dougie and Barkley back in on the bench, much as I love George Hemmings, he probably drops out in this instance here. We then start with Bogard, and we start with Bogard, and we have Onana in there. We now have options again in that midfield area, and considering we're down Tielemans, McGinn, Kamara, you'd think that the five of Hemmings, Bogard, Onana, Barkley, Dougie Luiz should be able to see us through maybe 5-6 weeks anyway. I know that we've got injury proneness in there. I know when we're talking about Onana, Barkley, and Douglas Luiz has a cyst in his calf apparently. I know we're talking about, people who are either playing through injury or have displayed injuries in frequent injuries, should I say, in the past. But I think that we should be able to ride our luck in that one. I would expect us to, and all of a sudden we look a bit stronger. We look like we've got options in areas. After Everton, we were like, where's our option after Malin on the right wing? Where's our option up top now that Malin is gone? Now we've got Tammy Abraham in there, and on the right wing we've got Leon Bailey back in there. We've got Jadon Sancho, who I thought was very poor last night, but has been better in games previous. And then hopefully Allison looks like we'll be back for the Bournemouth game. This one came too quick for him, but now it's looking like we've got. We're obviously not fully fit, but we're not down to the bare bones like we were. Or like the feeling was, I suppose, maybe 10 to 14 days ago.
Yeah, but I listened to your aftermatch podcast on the Red Eye flight this morning, and I thought you were a little bit harsh on Sancho and Elliott. I enjoyed watching their work rate. I enjoyed watching how eager they were to get on the ball. The movement off the ball was absolutely incredible. Things you don't see on the telly, I suppose, and that's always been my love of being at the live sport. You miss so much of what goes on off the ball. There was a lot of positives in there. I thought like some of the little one-touch triangle box playing and passing that they made, especially in the second half, it was a joy to watch. And it's so unpredictable when you're looking at Morgan Rogers, Jadon Sancho, Harvey Elliott. There's so much there. And then like Jimo Aloba, come on. And my eyesight isn't the best anyway. He's very like Morgan Rogers running. He's very big. He's very bulky, and he just glides across the turf like Morgan Rogers. So hopefully we've got a second Morgan Rogers coming in there. I feel disappointed for Hemmings because I feel like he was thrown under the bus. He's still very young. He's one for the future. God knows he could go out on loan in the next few days. But I was disappointed for him to have to go off at halftime, I should say. But no, needs must. It just shows Unai Emery wanted to win the game and he wanted that second place done and dusted for the run in the competition. But just a by the way thing. I thought Elliott and Sancho worked really, really hard. I enjoyed watching them play, and that's just my tuppence worth.
Yeah, I can't fault their work rate. I just thought Sancho, Elliott, and Buendia were just too similar. And when Morgan Rogers went up top, the four of them looked like they never played together before because they had never played together before. And exactly. There was times where the four of them playing for a 15-20 minute period was borderline unwatchable. But that's fine. As I say, they changed it around. I think Buendia going off and bringing a more directness to that left-hand side. Morgan Rogers not trying to play as a centre forward and more or less playing as a false nine, pulling out to the left-hand side made a big difference as well. And Unai found the solution for it, I think, more so in that second half for sure. There aren't really any other kind of tough calls, I don't think, Paddy, in this one. Like I'm presuming we're going back with Konza and Pau in this game at the weekend. Maatsen left back, Cash right back. I don't think he's going to throw any curveballs in that aspect.
Yeah, I think that's his default Premier League back four. Obviously, he tends to switch up the left back position from time to time, but in recent weeks, months, it seems to be it's Matsson's short with Digne coming on as a finisher or whatever. Was delighted last week to see Digne come on and Maatsen not go off, because I think he's got plenty to offer in attack. The week before, he took off Maatsen against Everton, and I was disappointed because it lost us a little bit of that attacking flair down that left hand side. But yeah, Maatsen is really grown into that short, and I can't argue that it would be Pau in there. He loves Pau. For his ball playing, if no, that's probably his strongest point. Thought people were a bit harsh on Mings last night. Yeah, he made a mistake for the first goal, but also our goalkeeper getting involved with their centre forward and then pinging a ball out because the referee was telling them to hurry up, put Mings under pressure for that as well. So I haven't watched it back completely, but that was just my view of it from behind the goal. But yeah, I would have Pau back in there. Cash has obviously been absolutely immense all season, and Ezri Konsa as well. So it's the three in behind. I'm presuming it's going to be Ollie Watkins or Tammy Abraham and not Morgan Rogers if Ollie doesn't make it. So I'm expecting a Roger Sancho Buendia maybe in that three behind. But we'll call it whatever striker, because I don't think he's going to do Rogers there.
Yeah, no, I don't think he is either, and I think, I don't think Rogers wants to play as a striker either. I think it curtails him too much. He's worth way more to us with that bit more freedom and a bit more liberal aspect.
The little bit more time facing the ball as opposed to having your back to it. Certain players are made for that for sure.
Absolutely. Evan Gassand went out, Paddy. What do you make of that?
Well, look, he's obviously making space for somebody else. That's obviously what we're.
I think so.
The exciting part is seeing what he does next. Obviously he was on fairly decent wages. We paid a good wad of cash for him. I do believe there's a player in there. I think people were very quick to write him off. I haven't written him off completely in his career. It may not end up being with us if there's an option to buy and he tears it up down at Crystal Palace and the system suit him better than ours. Who's to say he's not going to be the one that got away? And look, I'm absolutely fine with that, because it wasn't the Unai Emery signing by the sounds of things, and he's going to bring in somebody who he really wants, obviously.
I don't even know why I did that. I immediately, you mentioned about wages, now and then capology, but I know capology is a lot of bollocks, because I've proven it. If nobody knows my capology story, 4 years ago, I made up an absolute nonsense wage for John McGinn. I made up two email addresses, sent myself 2 emails from those email addresses, forwarded that onto Capology and said, look, I've double sourced his wage from 2 people who know what he's earning. And then 15 minutes later, they changed his wage on Capology. So there you go. I don't even know why I opened it up. But anyway, they say he's on about 93 grand plus bonuses, Gassand was. So if the Delight Money League proves anything, that none of those wages on Capology are true, and they're probably all higher. That's the scary part. They're probably all higher than what's mentioned on Capology. Anyway, so look, Evan Gassand, I've obviously, I will stick to my guns until I see him absolutely crash and burn as a number 9. I think that he came here and he wasn't an Unai Emery signing. Emery wasn't going to move Watkins out of that position, and he played him on that right hand side to see if he could fit in there, and he didn't, and he moved him on. And there's very little that would convince me otherwise that wasn't the case, because there's too much evidence to suggest so. So Paddy, we've also got something else that we want to chat about in this podcast, because first of all, I want to say thanks an absolute million to everybody, because there nearly was 1 million of you that went on last night after the podcast we did and purchased tickets to our 30th anniversary celebration party in Dublin on the 28th of March. absolutely like last night, the battery on my phone nearly went because I was getting more and more emails from tickets being sold, and they're actually nearly gone at the moment. Like it's gone like that. Like this has been incredible. The I suppose the want to come and join that party has been brilliant. So they've sold like hotcakes, and we're still nearly 2 months out from it, which is just mind blowing stuff. And we haven't even announced the player yet, Paddy. Exactly. We haven't even announced the player, of which we have 4. So how's about, Paddy? How's about we give people the first player that's going to be joining us? So I'll give a couple of clues, Paddy. This player has played for Sheffield Wednesday. They've played for Gillingham.
Is it Benito Carboni?
It's not Benito Carboni. I purposely put in Sheffield. It's not Gilles de Bilda either. He played for Sheffield.
Is it Barry Bannon? Too.
It's not Barry Bannon. No, it's not Barry Bannon. Although Barry Bannon, I think, would have liked to have played for Celtic. This fella played for Celtic. He played for Everton. He finished his career at Scunthorpe United. He played 3 seasons for Aston Villa. He scored... And he scored 14 goals in 57 appearances and had 4 assists. Paddy, our first guest that's going to be joining us is none other than...
Put him in there.
And spending some time with Neil and Paddy.
What's happening there? There we go.
Hi Villa fans, Tommy Johnson here. Just like to say, I'm looking forward to seeing you all on March the 28th for a little get-together down in Dublin. And spending some time with Neil and Paddy. Up the Villa.
Up the Villa, Tommy. So Super Tommy Johnson is going to be the first player from the 1996 team. It's going to be I was going to say coming over, but Tommy Johnson's above in the north of Ireland at the moment. He works for the Northern Irish FA. He lives there. He works for the Northern Irish FA. Well, he did last time I checked. And so he's going to be coming down to Dublin, which was really weird to hear people say, because everyone in Ireland, no matter where you are, even if you're here in Galway, where it's directly across the country, we always say up to Dublin. That's the phrase. So Tommy is going to be joining us, and as I say, he's one of 4. We will announce the next person that's going to be joining us on the team sheet tantrum for Brentford on Sunday, and then God willing, if we can get one of the other 2 to send us videos, we'll be announcing those. If you're watching, by the way, the other 2, you know who you are. Send us a video so we can do one in the post-match podcast. And we might even do 2 in the post-match podcast and just get the names out there as we can. So Super Tommy Johnson's going to be coming down and joining us. And look at him. He's absolutely thrilled. You can see the smile on his face there.
Yeah, he looks very happy to be coming down.
He does. Why wouldn't he be?
Yeah, one of my heroes over the years. I really enjoyed him. He was a guy. While he had a lot of nerves, I think, going out onto the pitch, really looked like he enjoyed himself when he was playing. Always gave 110%, in my opinion. Loved watching him play. Don't think he was signed as an out-and-out striker, but ended up playing a lot in that role. So I'm looking forward to picking his brains on the 28th of March, and hopefully a few more people will be encouraged to come and join us as we start to drift in the other 3 players. Hopefully by the end of the weekend we'll have everything in.
Exactly. Absolutely. Yeah. He's I've got fond memories of him as well. It was, at that stage I was really, really ramping up my Aston Villa fandom. I became an Aston Villa fan like in 92. And then he signed in 94, if I'm not mistaken, as well. And then, obviously in 1996, I was full blown, chest out Aston Villa fan at that stage. So I've got very, very fond memories of him, and scored some good goals for Aston Villa as well. So looking forward to talking to the Super Tommy Johnson on the day, and looking forward to announcing the other 4 people who are going to be coming over as well. So thanks so much to everybody for watching and for listening tonight. I'm trying to think what day is tomorrow. Yeah, actually, tomorrow morning I'm going to be doing a presser, just listening to Unai Emery's press conference, and putting out a podcast on that. Because a couple of people say they like me doing that. They like doing that stuff. So I'm going to put that out in the morning. Then we'll have the team sheet and the post-match afterwards on Sunday. And yes, Paddy, I meant to come back to that. You were on Paul's vlog last night.
If anybody knows Paul White, he's a good skin. He does a vlog called We Are Villains. Fairly new to the game, but a lot of followers, a lot of people know who he is. and good fun with him last night in the Aston Inn. So if you want to go over and check out his vlog, I'm in there for a short period of time, even though I did spend probably too long with him, giving out about shit English Guinness, as I was calling it. And his headline was, Paddy Kelly hates English Guinness.
Paddy Kelly isn't even a massive fan of Irish Guinness, never mind English Guinness. So.
I like a good Irish Guinness. I'm very picky.
Yeah. Anne asks as well, but I play the Villa AM music. Go on, so I'll put it in with the Villa AM music, so for tomorrow morning. I'll do the Villa AM music. It's funny because one of my mates is a Liverpool fan, and he played the Villa AM. He's played the intro for Villa AM he works in, put it this way, he just works in kind of a sporting environment, and he played it, and everybody there was like, "Oh, that's a class entrance music for the podcast." So I was like, "Yeah, should bring it back a small bit more," but just no time at the moment. No time. If there was 34 hours in a day, I'd probably have enough time to do the amount of podcasts that I want to do. But alas, next year I'm gonna try and organize myself a small bit better so that we have something going on every day. And at the moment life is just chaotic. But Villa AM tomorrow for you, Anne, just for you, for sure. Right, we're going to leave it at that, everybody. Thanks a million for joining, and looking forward to any of you who are coming to see the party. I suppose not to see us; it's for the party on the 28th of March, and Super Tommy Johnson will be there, and you will know the names of the other 3 people who will be there in due course as well over the course of the rest of the weekend. But everybody, thanks a million. We will see you tomorrow for the press conference piece. I'll pre-record that now and I'll put it out tomorrow morning. Then we will have the team sheet tantrum and the post match then on Sunday. So we've got loads coming up over the weekend, and we hope you will join us. But in the meantime, everybody, stay safe, stay healthy, and all that's left to say is up the Villa.
The Villa.